Brought to you by Encora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Dojo Live, where we have candid conversations with industry leaders tackling the biggest technology challenges in travel and hospitality. I'm your host, Kim Landis, and today, April 30th, 2025, we're diving into episode number 4 of our Redefining the Digital Storefront series, talking about insights from hospitality's direct booking leaders. Today, we're going to be discussing vacation rentals reimagined, the direct booking edge in short-term stays. And here to tell us what short-term rental owners need to know about direct booking and how it's shaping the future of travel tech is Eric Goldreyer, founder and CEO of Savvy.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
Eric. Yes, thank you so much for being here. You know, your Dojo Live number 2. It's great to have you back. Always a fun and insightful conversation with you. So thank you very much.
Is it like SNL? I get to say this is my second time.
Yes, only if you have a song.
Yeah. I've got so jokes, yeah. All right, I'll retract it then.
Okay. All right, yeah. Perfect. So, you know, we learned this on our last show, and this hasn't changed since. Your name is practically synonymous with the evolution of short-term rentals with bedandbreakfast.com, now Savvy. What can you do? Like, tell us a bit, walk us through your journey, what's inspired you in your latest venture, all that jazz.
Where did the time go? I'm now the old industry veteran. Crazy. You know, I've always loved hospitality. I mean, from before I had my first business, bedandbreakfast.com, I remember my wife and I have been married 35 years now. That dates me just in and of itself. But I remember before I launched the company, we got our first house and we had a guest room. And, you know, I was the one that, you know, I wanted to make sure that we had the cold carafe of ice water next to the bed. Aww. When people were going to sleep, and, you know, all of the soaps and the shampoos and the stuff and the little bottles. And I wanted to, I don't know, I've always just enjoyed hospitality and been a big fan of relationships. And I think that those of us in hospitality, hopefully that's why we're in hospitality, is to allow to create an environment and a platform that allows people to create, memories with friends and family. And, you know, I guess that's sort of the underlying what drives you and what makes it fun. Bedandbreakfast.com, I started back at the beginning of sort of, you know, the internet as we know it, with graphical user interfaces and browsers and stuff. And it was started just because my wife and I loved to stay in bed and breakfast, and they were really, really hard to find. And everything back then was guidebooks, believe it or not. And launched bedandbreakfast.com, and we went to our first trade show or bed and breakfast conference, and it was California. I mean, that was they had a ton of bed and breakfast out there. And if anybody was leading in the internet, it was the Californians. And we got out there January of '96. And people were like looking at me like, what's the internet? So it took a while. We had to educate a lot of people on how the industry was going to change and move from guidebooks to online. It was fun. We got to meet a lot of people, went to a lot of conferences, and I sold the business in 1999 to a company that was in San Mateo, California, trying to do a hotels.com type of business. Mm-hmm. And I continued running it for them after I sold it to them. And about 3 years later, I ended up buying it back from them because they actually didn't make it. And I'm like, well, hey, we're killing it at bedandbreakfast.com. Bought it back, moved it from Denver to Austin, relocated the core team to Austin, and we continued building it. And we're just having a great time. And, you know, we built it to the largest website for information on bed and breakfast, true bed and breakfast, not Airbnbs, in the world. We had the largest property management software system in the world for B&Bs, reservation. And we built the first CRS, or central reservation system, for the industry, which sort of gave one-off innkeepers the ability to distribute to Expedia and Travelocity and bedandbreakfast.com and to power their own website. So it was a fun business because we sort of enabled an industry to distribute and sort of get on the same playing field as hotels, et cetera. And then I sold it in 2010 to HomeAway because Brian Sharples, they wanted to buy it before they went public. And my kids were 12, 10, and 7 at the time. And I'm like, I'm never going to get this time back. So I'm like, I'll go spend time with the family. And it was awesome. So I was retired for all of, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And then you keep thinking of opportunity. And then started a totally unrelated business called Fun Air. You look it up, funair.com. It's inflatables for mega yachts. And no pun intended, but it is a fun business. And there's a lot of eye candy on the site and on our social channels. But if you think about it, that sort of ties into hospitality, right? I mean, it was when I was deciding if I wanted to start working again, it was like, that would be a cool business because it brings people together to create memories and gets people off of their screens and their monitors and their TVs and out in the sun and the fun with people. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That's cool. So we launched that 2013. It's still going. It's the leader in the space for inflatables for mega yachts. It's a small space. But then in 2013 also launched turnkey vacation rentals with a good buddy. And the goal there was property management, what sort of still is a very fragmented industry, right? It's sort of by market. You're going to Vail, Colorado, you find a good property manager you like, but now you're going to Austin or Napa or San Diego or New Orleans, and they don't have an office there because they were local to a market. So we set out to create a national property management company with sort of a tech first philosophy. And had a good time doing that. Now, to be clear, I wasn't on the day-to-day. I was on the board, help, come up with a name, whatever, first check, I guess. So involved in it, but not involved day-to-day. But that went really well. Created the second largest property management company in North America, and then sold it to Vacasa in 2021, and then it didn't go so well. So anyone that's been following it,
the secret ingredient here seems like it's Eric Goldreyer.
No, yeah, I wish I could say that, but certainly not. I mean, I'm a big believer in hiring the smartest, best people that I can, and being the dumbest guy at the table, if you will, not truly, but sort of metaphorically. I've been blessed to have been able to create great teams. Maybe I'm Tom Sawyer and I'm Huck Finning people into coming to join my team. But no, really have had some amazing people, and I think that's critical because I know what my skill sets are, and that's not the crossing the I and the dotting the cross dotting the I and crossing the T. But yes, sold that and loved hospitality and saw the opportunity to try to go for a three-peat, if you will. And so started working on savvy.com several years ago now. It was under another name, B&B Finder, and it was really specific to the B&B space. And just thought, there's a huge need in travel and in vacation rental space to bring a new sort of model and a refreshing brand to the space. And so that's what I've been doing, and I'm having a blast.
I love it because your episode here in our series is the only one on the redefining digital storefront. We're looking at direct bookings, right? But that's focused specifically on short-term rentals. So to set this stage, how do direct booking challenges and opportunities differ from STRs and hotels? And what can each side perhaps learn from each other a little?
Sure, it's a great question, and I would say the biggest difference, in my opinion, is that if you're a hotelier, you've got a brand, you've got money to go out, and you're probably national, so you can afford. You get a ROAS, you get a return on your ad spend. You can afford to go out and spend money and build for and drive that direct traffic, right? I'm on this call from an inn that I own, Sage Hill Inn and Spa, just outside of Austin. And we deal with the same thing, right? We're a 20 key property on 88 acres. We want to build our direct business. It's the least expensive if you do it right? It should come in at 4.5% or so on a cost basis. Once you look at what you have to spend on social, what you have to spend on your website, what you have to spend on PPC and SEO and those things. I mean, it's not free, but to go out and really, really build your book direct business is expensive. And that's why hotels sort of have a leg up there. On the short-term rental side, as a short-term rental host or property manager, we're big fans that you need to use everything that you can. I mean, you want to build your direct business and make sure you're doing the right things. Certainly, even if it's only for your repeat business, right? Don't be paying a third party to get your repeat business, which hopefully you're building up to become a bigger and bigger piece of your revenue model. But you also need to be on the OTAs, right? You should be on Airbnb. You should be on Vrbo. You certainly should be on Savvy. You need to be working with your local tourism groups. I mean, it's all those different things. But the smaller you are as a property manager, as a single host, you can't go out really and build that direct business. And that's sort of fundamentally one of the reasons that we created Savvy, is that someone needs to bring all of the property managers and inventory together to give travelers a single place to go to find that inventory, right? So they can then book direct, if you will. Travelers don't want to go Google Austin vacation rentals and go to 20 different property manager websites, learn the navigation, repeat their search May 5th through 8th, 8 people, 1 pet, need a hot tub. They want to go to one place and find that. And then they want to book direct or have a platform that doesn't charge fees, right? And so I think it's really what drove us to create the business that we're creating. Is short-term rentals can't build their book direct business like hotels can. They can do some of the fundamental steps, but they just don't have the scale.
So you really kind of covered already the current direct booking landscape in the STR world, what feels broken, maybe a little about what's working well. But let's talk about this in terms of Savvy, how you aim to close those gaps, the creation of what you do today.
Sure. So Savvy, the model's different, right? We're an OTA, online travel agency, if you will, like an Airbnb or a Vrbo or Expedia, whatever. But we're a book direct OTA. Not everyone understands what that means. But basically what we're saying is when you find a property on Savvy and you go to book and you enter in all your reservation information, your credit card information, we pass that securely through the property management system, the PMS, to the property manager. They're booking the reservation, not us. You're not our customer. You're the host's customer, as it should be, because guess what? That's how you provide hospitality, right? I can build the best website that I can, and we're doing that. But whether it's Airbnb or it's Savvy, a website can't provide the level of hospitality that a professional host can. So we want to enable that communication and not prevent it from happening until after the reservation has occurred, right? On the existing platforms, if you try to communicate with a host on platform, the big guys are going to strip out your phone number and your email and your web address and all those things, because they don't want you to disintermediate them and go direct to the host, because they don't make their money. But what that causes is the traveler to have to make a decision without being able to really communicate with the host, right? So we're trying to bring hospitality back. We're going to allow a traveler to search a very comprehensive database of properties from multiple property managers in a destination, find the one they're interested in. And then when they go to book it, we're going to facilitate the booking directly with the host who's been vetted, right? And then we're not going to charge the 15 or 20% additional that the other guys charge. And that savings allows travelers to travel more, to upgrade their accommodation. Maybe instead of staying in town at a ski destination, they're staying slopeside. Maybe instead of staying in town at a beachfront town, they're staying, on the beach. Or maybe they're staying an extra night or two, or maybe they're bringing in a chef, or it just saves people enough money that it can materially change how awesome of a trip they have. And that's
Exactly, the
exciting to have.
experience. It
Yeah.
absolutely is.
I have to say, because the question always comes up, and I think people are like, okay, well, wait a minute.
What's the
This
catch?
has got to be a
How
gimmick.
are you making
Catch.
money?
Yeah, for sure. And and it's a fair question. We're gonna get you on the back end. No, I'm teasing. The way our business model is the model that I started in 1995 with bedandbreakfast.com. It's the model that David Klaus started in 1995 with Vacation Rentals by Owner. It's the original HomeAway model. We allow property managers to put all of their properties on our site for free. And if they want additional exposure, they can pay a flat monthly subscription, a low monthly cost, and they get featured placement, right? So that's enough. We can make enough money doing that to not
It's
have to charge.
the boost of the short-term rental world, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, rest assured, we've got a business model. It generates revenue, but we don't have to generate the amount of revenue that the big guys do that have all the overhead and all the costs, and are processing credit cards and have fraud, and yada yada yada.
Fantastic. As you're building out this amazing platform, I wanted to lean into the buzzword of the last many years now, AI and personalization.
Savvy? It's our brand.
Savvy.
Yes,
different. That's
different buzzword. Okay, go ahead.
AI, personalization, they're everywhere in travel tech conversations,
Yeah.
But what really matters for STRs, which part of the guest journey, or in your case, property managers, right? What part of the guest journey is most influencing booking decisions? What's real, what's hype? How is Savvy approaching it? What does it look like?
Sure. I mean, clearly we think the biggest thing that's going to affect people's booking decisions are cost and value, right? If you look at the latest SCIF data, people are still spending the same amount of money they spent last year. They just are wanting to make sure that it goes further, right? Mm-hmm. So they're still traveling. They just don't want to be chumps and pay more for something that they could have paid less for. So, when you go to savvy.com and you find a property on our site and you give us dates, we show you the Savvy price. We show you Airbnb and Vrbo's price for the same property for the same dates. So you feel good about your purchase decision and you're getting the best deal. And if we're more expensive, we're still going to show you Airbnb actually is $150 less than us. Now we're going to have an exception report that goes, what the heck? How'd that happen? Right. And we're going to look into it, because that shouldn't happen, because we should be 15 to 20% less. But we think that the cost is the number one. Now back to your question, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. AI for sure. I mean, I'd be ridiculous if I tried to sit here and say that it's not going to change travel. AI adoption is going to happen quicker than web adoption did. It already is, right? At Savvy, we're certainly using AI internally for processes, for marketing, for engineering. The first use of AI for us externally will likely be in the search box, right? Allowing people to just do an open search, and then us crawling everything and bringing back the properties we think they'll be interested in.
This would be into things. I'm sorry for the interruption, but early in the conversation, we were thinking about the ability to go directly to the owner, which is lacking on other platforms. And it got me thinking about people who might have special needs, right? In terms of like wheelchair access, or these very granular questions that you might have that you don't know who to ask, or just cross your fingers and hope that I made the right choice based off of the pictures that I can see or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this the type of, when you're saying in that search, I can ask these questions, like how
Yeah. So it
accessible?
won't be defined by just the data fields, right? It'll be the entire description that'll be indexed in our internal LLM, so that when you search, if it wasn't a data field that we had a binary on off for a filter to work or to trigger, it'll pick it up.
Nice.
Right. So it'll give people an easier or different way to search, and a tight set of results. And then the other obvious one is integrated into other LLMs. So when people are searching, they find properties through us. I think those are the first two. I mean, we're not as the company bringing a more efficient, better marketplace in the vacation rental space to bear. We're not going to be out there dropping tens of millions of dollars trying to figure out what AI is going to become. We're just going to be a fast follower, right? We've got the most recent tech stack in the space.
I have to say that that's savvy.
Yeah, no, but for real, I mean, I like what you did there. But we've got a savvy group of senior stack developers, and we've got the most recent architected platform. And I think it will be easier for us than most to actually integrate AI when we determine what specifically is the right way to do it and what provides value.
Super smart, a super smart way to approach this. Another question that I have in terms of AI personalization, and this comes a lot based off of, many conversations we've had this whole year on Dojo Live. And this is more of a hotel kind of measurement, but we are seeing a shift from RevPAR to this idea of total revenue per guest. I'm curious what kind of KPI, or if this is also a shift in the STR universe that you're seeing in terms of property owners using tech to capture more guest spend beyond an initial booking, or how are you seeing property management companies, owners of properties, being creative in that regard?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I that's sort of back to like the book direct stuff, right? I think it depends on how big the property management company is. When you're look at hotels in Vegas, right? They look at that metric more than probably and better than anyone, because they don't just have room revenue. They've got F&B, food and beverage, but guess what? They've got gaming revenue. And they'll practically give their rooms away because they know how much money they're going to make per guest. In the VR space, there's a lot. I just spoke at the VR Nation conference here in Austin this past few days, and there were several providers there of add-on services or concierge type services. I think bigger PMs already do that type of stuff, right? Do you need grocery shopping? Do you want a chef? Do you want an excursion? But I think there's more and more providers like Epicuriate, Scott Brown, that are coming to the space so that they can bring that incremental revenue line to PMs that don't have it yet. We will probably look at adding something eventually ourselves, but what we want to do is make sure that we're not competing with our property managers. So if they're already offering concierge services, we don't want to offer them for them, because then we're in competition, and we're here to support property managers, not compete with them. But maybe we're negotiating with a provider or two so we can easily enable PMs to add that additional revenue stream to their overall mix of revenue.
Perfect.
But where we can help, hopefully, but just where hopefully we help is because we're not taking 15 to 20% from the transaction, we're leaving that money on the table for the guest to spend with the property manager, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's an extra night or it's a nicer stay, or it's any of those additional services that someone may opt in for.
I love it. I love it. The expansion of the experience, which is the heart behind your business model. On the same revenue side, I want to dive a little bit into data. You mentioned some of that earlier. How do does this real-time kind of guest data help STR hosts, property managers optimize things like their pricing, upsells, the goal of these repeat stays that we've already talked about? Are you supporting this? And along the way, do you have any results maybe that you can share, success stories?
Great question. I would, it's early for us to have results. I mean, if we launched 2 months ago for savvy.com. We've been focused the last 2 years on building out supply, right? If you're going to build a marketplace, before you can go out and wave the flag, hey, check us out. We've got a great site with all these listings you can book. You got to have all these listings. So we've been focused for the last couple of years on building out supply. We've onboarded over 150,000 properties in North America from over nearly 2,700 property managers. And we're just now sort of leaning into, with the rebrand, hey guys, here's a great new site. A great way for you to save money. So our reservations have been low and are starting to grow. And I think we'll have data like that in the future. Certainly from a yield and revenue management perspective, any reservation that happens on Savvy is happening in their PMS. So assuming they're using a yield or revenue management tool within their PMS or that bolts onto their PMS, all of our data is going to real-time flow into their existing PMS. We're not a separate channel they have to manage or work with and integrate. We're integrated from the get-go, like so integrated, literally we can onboard a property manager in 15 minutes and suck in all of their rates, their dates, their availability, et cetera.
Wow. And so it's essentially they're owning that data right from
They've got the data. That's right. It's right there in their existing tool.
And I was just that leads me, you already answered this question in terms of the booking experience, living and dying by integration, working with the PMSs, the RMSs, distribution platforms, etc. Excuse me.
I get all choked up when I think about it myself. It's okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's touching.
If we could you just talk a little bit more to the heart of why that interoperability is so essential in an STR tech stack?
Sure. I mean, look, ease wins, right? People aren't going to jump through hoops, even if it's to save several $100s. There's some people that are like, I don't have the time. We at Savvy have to provide travelers, and no pun intended, but savvy travelers with a tight UX and UI, where user experience and user interface, where the checkout process is simple and easy to use. If it's cumbersome, your conversions are going to drop, and you're not going to be able to provide value to your property managers because people aren't going to want to book on your site. So having the tight data integration so that we can provide travelers with real-time rates and availability, so they're not doing reservation requests, is key. And so we can show them the savings that they're going to get by using Savvy versus the other guys is key. Because, it's sad, but so many people say, the best price and save this and save that, that it's us as consumers, we've sort of devalued that message. And we understand
is it really that, though, or are you just making stuff up?
There's a place in Breckenridge, Colorado that every year I'm there, it says going out of business sale 80% off, right? It's total horseshit. So it's got to be real. And we determined that the best way to show travelers that it's real is to say, hey, that's the property you want for those dates. Here's our price. Here's a Savvy price. Here's an Airbnb price. Here's a Vrbo price.
And I can click on it and prove it.
You can click on that link and it'll take you to the Airbnb property for those dates and show you. You can click on the Vrbo link. It'll take you there and show you. Transparency is a big part of building trust and demonstrating that you're serious about what you're saying. And we are all about that. So I think without the integrations, you don't get
Mm-hmm.
to show the traveler really the savings. You have to say, well, on average, you can save this much, but then you're forcing them to go do math. And,
Yeah.
I can't remember what the movie was, but I was told there'd be no math. Yeah. We don't want people to have to do math.
We're coming to the final few minutes of today's conversation. You have had a front row seat to the evolution, participated directly in the evolution of short-term rentals for decades. What
Ouch.
current what current tech trends or traveler behaviors strike you as kind of most game-changing these days? Things like, AI agents, digital wallet, loyalty dynamics. What is it? What's exciting and what's next in your opinion?
Yeah. So, I mean, no question, there could be a whole dojo on AI and agents. I mean, that's fundamentally going to definitely change the way we do a lot of things. So I would say that's one of the biggest ones out there. And the other one I would say is what we've been talking a lot about. I mean, it's the book direct piece. It's been really hard in the vacation rental industry for people to book direct over the last several years. I mean, we've all seen the negative press on fees, and we're tired of fees, whether it's Airbnb or Vrbo or it's StubHub or Ticketmaster or resort fees or parking fees or takeout fees for food. It's like enough, friggin' enough already. So I think the book direct model with support of a site like Savvy that enables it is going to help move a fair amount of share from the more expensive channels to book direct, which will, I mean, I got a buddy that I had lunch with last week, and he's like, do you have a lot of properties in Port Aransas? It's a place in the coast on Texas. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Look, and I scrolled through. He texted me the next day. He's like, we saved $1,100 booking through Savvy. I'm like, okay, that's what we're about, right? I think that type of stuff will become more commonplace, and we'll be able to help travelers have better experiences. Insights, people that enable book direct will be able, not just us, we'll be able to help travelers have a better, a higher level of hospitality experience for less money. And it'll help property managers, build their brand, right? Most property managers are mom and pops. How do they build their brand? We want to help them build their brand. We want to help them build their direct book of business. It's their terms and conditions. It's their payment process. Yeah. We're not taking the money and paying the host, 4 weeks after checkout. But if you look at the data, right, 68% of people showroom. So there's a lot of savvy people out there. And by showroom, I mean like they go into Best Buy and you look at TVs, then you go buy it on Amazon. In the vacation rental space, over 2/3 of people go to Airbnb or Vrbo booking, find a property they like, and then they go spend minutes or hours online trying to find it themselves so they can book it direct and save the money. Now they don't have to do that.
Nice. And I love how I see this or foresee also this sort of self-feeding cycle, not just for the property owners themselves or the properties, but the communities in which they're part of. Because if we have that $1,100 to spend elsewhere, I think it's going to help lift the entire tide around them, making them fall in love not just with the property, but where the property is located, and then come back to that repeat stay.
Well, for sure. Even, and this is sort of funny, but my buddy that saved $1,100, they're using it to rent a golf cart the entire time they're there, and to have daily beach chair set up every time, every day at the beach. Well, that just made money for the golf cart guy and for the beach chair rental guy. So yeah, for sure. And that my buddy now is going to go tell everyone that he knows how they're not being savvy by using a more expensive channel.
And how cool this house was, and you got to rent the golf cart, and
yeah.
Love it.
Races on the beach. Yes.
Final question. One bold prediction for the future of direct bookings in the STR space. You already said this is where it's at, but one simple, maybe actionable tip for a host or property management operator that they could try out today. And
Yeah.
join Savvy can't be that. We already know
Can't
that.
be that. That's obvious. That's obvious. I mean, I think it is. It's know where your reservations are coming from, right? You'd be amazed at how many property managers really don't know. They don't look at their analytics from their site. They're not tracking it. They don't know what's coming from their social channels, what's coming from Google paid, Google organic, what's coming from Savvy, Airbnb, Verbo. So know where your reservations are coming from. And then I would say make sure that you're allocating enough of a spend to materially shift reservations to you directly. And whether it's Savvy or other third parties, maybe it's not a new OTA, but it's a book direct tool. I think you're going to continue to see more and more people come into the space to help STRs build direct business without having to do it all on their own, if that makes sense.
I love it.
So just be aware, get educated. Don't have your head in the sand.
Yeah,
simple.
It was the internet, and now we're here at the AI. Can't have your head in the sand. You've seen it, and it's coming for sure.
Dude, we thought, it's moving fast.
Absolutely. A big thank you to you, Eric Goldreyer, for sharing how short-term rentals are redefining the digital storefront, and of course, everything from personalization and beyond. Before we go, if our audience wants to learn more about you or Savvy, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so hit me up on LinkedIn, or my email is Eric, ERIC, @savvy.com. Shoot me an email.
Easy. Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you also to our sponsor, Encora, for making these types of conversations possible. Encora does partner with travel and hospitality companies to accelerate innovation through world-class engineering solutions. And if you enjoyed this conversation, of course, follow us on all our socials, dojo.live. You can also go to our site directly to see more insights from industry leaders and catch past episodes. And speaking of what's past, but now what's coming, join us on Tuesday, May 6th, also at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific, as we dive into how AI, customization, and smarter distribution strategies are helping hotels take back control of their digital storefronts. That's with Mark Lewis Brown, CEO of Vertical Booking. Until then, stay curious, stay innovative, and bye for now. Thank you again, Eric.
Stay savvy.